Welcome to Humane Voices, the official podcast of the Humane Society of the United States. And I'm excited about today's episode with you, Chad. We are interviewing not only a subject matter expert, but a funny guy, Dr. Michael Greger. He is a physician, a best-selling author. He's also a bit of a star, most recently on Netflix's You Are What You Eat, a twin experiment. It's a really good episode, and I'm glad that we have him on here. So, Chad, thanks for joining me today as my co-host, and Dr. Greger, great to have you here.
And we used to work together with Dr. Greger. He used to work at the Humane Society of the United States years ago. We were lucky enough.
A little homecoming episode. But, he took off. He flew the coop. He left the home, and now he's a big star on Netflix.
Well, Dr. Greger, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Oh, my God. How are things going back at the mothership?
Everything is good, thanks. We miss you, but we love seeing you on Netflix every once in a while.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
You're a star now. You're a certified
What do you mean? Oh,
star.
I wasn't a star then? It's outrageous.
No, but I mean, you've elevated. You're a star. Now you're a star and an influencer.
Okay. All right.
Well, Dr. Greger, your latest book is called How Not to Age. And I think some people think maybe, I can't get ahead of my genes. Like, I can't fix that. Can you tell us which one has larger impact? I've been thinking about this.
Well,
your genetic makeup or lifestyle choice? Which one is going to eke out there?
Based on studies of identical twins, only about 25% of the difference in lifespan between people is due to genetics. And
25%.
Only 25%. So for what we can do over the majority of which we have some control, we can look to the blue zones, these areas of exceptional longevity around the world where they all center their diets around whole plant food. So minimizing their intake of processed foods, meat, dairy, sugar, eggs, salt, while maximizing their intake of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils. Nuts and seeds, mushrooms, herbs, and spices, basically real food that grows out of the ground. These are our healthiest choices.
And so you mentioned, Doc, processed foods. Let's briefly talk about that. Processed, ultra-processed foods. I'm guessing that you have some thoughts on that.
I do. Whole plant foods. How much more clearer that I can be. Whole food sources is ideal.
So you mentioned blue zones. I think I've been hearing a lot about that recently. And I have a feeling people, the way it's presented in the media, people think, well, if I just move to one of those places, I'm going to be good, right?
That's right. If I just go to a KFC in a blue zone, then all of a sudden it's going to be fine.
Is that how it works?
Unfortunately, no. In fact, that's what happened in Okinawa. Okinawa is now the prefecture in Japan with the worst public health statistics, the highest obesity rates, more fast food joints than any other, and they're horrible. And so there's a big push to get the Okinawans to eat the Okinawan diet too. So sadly, the blue zone is no more.
Wow. So they take that status away from people, from areas.
There's actually only one blue zone that exists to this day.
Is that right?
They've all been westernized, and their health all went to shit. Except... all the blue zones except one were geographically isolated. So they were islands or like really hard to reach peninsulas. And so, they didn't get the tobacco, they didn't get the sugar, they didn't get all the westernized crap. And they just kind of eat what they could kind of grow around them. And so they eat really healthy diets in an age where everybody else was eating crap. But as soon as the crap ship arrived, oh my God, they're like, bring it on. Like they weren't doing it for their health. They were like, I'm only eating sweet potatoes because that's all I'm growing here. Right. But then they're like, sweet potatoes or donuts. Oh my God. Forget the sweet potatoes.
When you mentioned diets, Doc, and you wrote a book. You wrote a lot of books that should be noted. So lots of good reading out there for our listeners, but how not to diet. So I think you've maybe answered this, but let's be extra clear for the listeners. What is the non-fad, sure to work diet out there? What's the best diet? What's the model diet?
Happy to talk about weight loss, but just to close up the blue zones conversation, there's one blue zone, the one blue zone that not only was the only one not geographically isolated, but the only one that exists to this day is the Loma Linda, California.
California.
vegetarians who lived longer than anyone else ever, any other formally described population on planet Earth. Okinawans in the 1950s were number 2. And the reason is because they're eating healthy because they actually want to eat healthy. They have this religious notion that our bodies are temple, and that, God wants us to kind of take care of ourselves. And so even though there's all this, they're being bombarded by ads for junk food and fast food and candy, just like everybody is. They're like, we'd rather take care of ourselves. And guess what? Ta-da! They're still going, and doing better than any other blue zone in history. And so we can learn from them, saying, wow, all right, we don't have to, be on a desert island to be forced to eat, fruits and vegetables. We can do it in the real world. Yeah. But in terms of accelerating the loss of body fat, that was my last major nutrition book, How Not to Diet. Mm-hmm. Where I just my intention going into the book was to with so much nutritional noise and nonsense these days, basically I wanted there to finally be an evidence-based diet book. And so I cite literally thousands of studies digging up every possible tip, trick, tweak, technique proven to accelerate the loss of body fat, to give people every possible advantage and basically build the optimal weight loss solution from the ground up. And dun 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 dun, we should eat real food that grows out of the ground, natural foods from fields, not factories. A diet centered around whole plant foods turns out the healthiest diet also just so happens to be the most effective diet for weight loss, causing a faster acceleration of weight loss than any other diet in history, published in the peer-reviewed medical literature. Any other study that didn't, enforce calorie restriction or, exercise, etc.
But I think, Doc, so I'm thinking back to something you said about this. I've got a sweet potato and I've got a donut in front of me. I think some people might see, maybe in the stores, there's a sweet potato donut.
Oh,
and they're thinking, oh, well, now I've got the best of both worlds, right? So maybe there's some trickery in your mind about that.
Well, I mean, maybe a sweet potato donut is better than a regular donut, but right, we should not be confused. But yeah, the junk food industry would be happy to sell us any kind of crap. We want low fat. They'll give us low fat junk food. We want, keto junk food, paleo junk food, ironically. But what they can't give us is whole food, real food, because real food doesn't make any money. They can give us Funyuns, but they can't make money selling onions.
Yeah. Well, what about, so let me ask you this. What about supplements? What are your thoughts on that? What supplements should people take? Should they take supplements, vitamins?
So, I mean, it depends. So, talk to your doctor about your particular situation. If you're pregnant or alcoholic or homeless, there's all sorts of things, particular situations where you need specific supplements. But in general, there's only two, vitamins not made by plants. The one is made by animals, such as us when we walk outside, vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. But if you're inside at a desk job all day, it doesn't matter how sunny it is outside, you're not going to get sufficient vitamin D production. So I recommend 2,000 international units of vitamin D3 every day for anyone getting inadequate sun exposure. And the only other vitamin not made by plants is vitamin B12, not made by animals either, but little microbes that blanket the earth. So, we used to get, B12 drinking out of a mountain stream or something. Now we chlorinate the water supply to kill off any bacteria. Don't get a lot of B12 in our water anymore. Don't get a lot of cholera either. That's a good thing that we live in such a nice sanitary world. Our fellow great apes get all the B12 they need eating bugs, dirt, and feces. I prefer supplements. 2,000 micrograms, of cyanocobalamin once a week is all you need. It's the most shelf-stable form, but critically important for anyone eating a healthy diet.
So you've got a list of your recommended daily dozen foods to eat. Is that something you've got the 10 commandments sort of thing?
Right, I'm getting out my pen. I'm ready. Hit me.
Can we
12 commandments? Yes.
Go over those a little bit just for what we should find.
You don't have to remember them. It's a free app on iPhone and Android called Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen.
Perfect.
And so comes out of my book, How Not to Die, which will be going into its 10th anniversary edition coming out next year.
Oh, congrats.
One of the greatest book titles I've ever heard.
Oh, very sweet. Yeah, sold over 1 million copies, 36 different languages, something like that. The first half of the book, 15 chapters, each of the 15 leading causes of death, talking about the role diet may play in preventing, arresting, reversing each of our top 15 killers, but didn't just want it to be a reference book. I wanted to be kind of a how-to day-to-day living guide, kind of grocery store guide to actually making it practical. So then center my recommendations in the second half of the book around this daily dozen checklist of all the healthiest of healthy foods and routines I encourage people to fit into their daily diet, which is, so not just, fruits and vegetables every day, but specifically berries, the healthiest fruits, greens, dark green leafy vegetables, the healthiest vegetables. I want people to eat legumes every day, a tablespoon of ground flaxseed, quarter teaspoon of turmeric, the best beverages, the best sweeteners, how much exercise to get, etc. Again, just hope I'm kind of inspiring people to kind of include some of these healthiest foods in their diets.
What are some of your favorites that you aren't going to let go of? You're like, I love this. I got to have this.
What do you mean? I'm not going to let go of any of them.
There's got to be some. Come on.
The most important is probably berries, beans, and grains. Those would be the three if you're going to add anything to your diet. And if you're just going to remove three things from your diet, one would be trans fats, these partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. Number two, processed meat, bacon, ham, hot dogs, lunch meat, sausages, causes cancer in human beings, causes colorectal cancer, the number one cancer killer of non-smokers. And three would be soda, liquid candy. We shouldn't be drinking sugar water.
You mentioned sodas, diet sodas, full sugar sodas. I mean, are they both
bad?
Both terrible. Okay, I think people think there's no sugar in this. I should be okay.
They see the diet and think it's all good. Yeah.
Nope.
So
it's as simple as that.
I'm guessing you have a breakfast table, lunch, dinner that is just all these bright fruits and vegetables. And I mean, surely you must have some guilty pleasure.
Oh, on Thanksgiving, I put marshmallows on my sweet potatoes.
Once a year.
Marshmallows aren't exactly a health food, as much as I wish they were.
Marshmallows. All right.
Yeah. Even Dr. Gregor has a weakness.
Oh my God. I love my marshmallows.
And it's a bag of fluffy marshmallows.
I don't know if you remember HSUS. I brought it. There was some cooking thing, right?
Yeah.
I brought in my signature marshmallow dish.
So you've had that marshmallow addiction for a while then. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I also remember, Dr. Gregor, when I was lucky enough to work with you years ago at the Humane Society of the United States, you wrote a book that is it's very topical today on bird flu.
I know. I called it.
You did. This is how long ago?
This is really you're all surprised.
No, not at all. But it's hugely in the news now. Bird flu is really
bird flu. Yeah, bird flu is just some little thing in Hong Kong. It's never going to come over here. Oh, it's in 20% of milk supplies in the American milk because it's infecting cows, which we didn't even think could get influenza. Bird flu is here.
All right. So because Nostradamus, you predicted that. So look ahead into the crystal ball. What's something else you see down the road that we should?
Another pandemic is coming. Thankfully, though, we did such a great job with the COVID one that it shouldn't be a problem.
Your sarcasm is so subtle, Dr. Gregor, that it's hard to tell.
Listeners, I hope that's translating.
If let's say we take one thing away, the audience is listen to this. What's the one takeaway besides getting your app, reading all your books, all that stuff?
The one takeaway is the good news. That we have tremendous power over our health, destiny, and longevity, and that the vast majority of premature death and disability is preventable with a healthy enough diet and lifestyle. So encourage people to just do it.
And it sounds like what you're talking about is not at all radical. It's also in terms of equity, Whole Foods, anyone can access these potentially, or, is money a cost? Is it you're making it sound really easy and you're using science. What's that
What a
about?
concept, right? Just like we all did in COVID. We used the science. Look, one needn't make drastic changes, right? And it's not all or nothing, right? Even just basic common sense lifestyle behaviors like, could mean living a decade longer, not smoking, not being obese, regular exercise, more fruits and vegetables. And look, it's never too late. Never too late to start eating healthier. Never too late to start moving. We really, really, really do have the power.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that message. And I think, in your book and when you talked about the 12 foods to eat, I mean, it's not overwhelming for folks. Just lean into doing some good things, whole food diet, move some, don't smoke, don't drink maybe sodas, which I do want to ask about this because these are really popular. Sugary drinks, those sports drinks. Are we okay with those?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay.
Those are bad too. You
What if you put marshmallows in them?
How about water? How about water? Get your electrolytes from food.
I figured I knew the answer to that.
Dr. Greger, so congrats on the Twin Experiment Netflix show. That was great seeing you
Wasn't
on
that
there.
Good?
That was great.
Good. So I encourage everybody to watch it. Is it You Are What You Eat? Is that the name of it? I forget. Netflix came out in January. Just type in like Twin Experiment, vegan, whatever. It'll pop right up.
You Are What You Eat, a Twin Experiment.
Yeah.
Excellent. I was so impressed.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with that whole series.
Oh, well, you're all over that thing. And I feel like there's some arguments going on. And I wanted you to respond to this about it comes up about a vegan agenda, right?
Okay.
What do you have to respond to that? A lot of people are like, oh, that they're just pushing a vegan agenda on us. Do you have a response to that?
It may seem that I'm biased, but it's for the same reason that the website of the American Lung Association probably seems biased against tobacco. Right? The Philip Morris Corporation came up with more than 100 studies showing the health benefits of smoking. For example, the nicotine may help schizophrenics with psychotic symptoms. Smoking may affect immune function sufficient enough to benefit ulcerative colitis. The tobacco industry used these studies to accuse former Surgeon General C. Everett Koop of selective reporting when he argued that smoking was bad for you, right? Smoking caused cancer. But the reason Dr. Koop chose to focus on the anti-tobacco studies is presumably because he was trying to accurately reflect the totality of the scientific literature. Right? The best available balance of evidence strongly suggests that smoking is bad for people's health. And the same could be said for many foods. So when the tobacco industry dismisses public health professionals as being biased against tobacco, of course, they're biased against tobacco. They're public health professionals. To be biased against smoking is to be biased against death and disease. That's kind of our job.
That's where you're coming from. Okay, I got it. That's a great answer. I love that. Yeah. Okay. That puts it in total perspective. Stay away from comments, by the way, because it's a dirty world out there in all sorts of
And may I please say that I'm all in favor of cherry picking and peach picking, apple picking, blueberry, whatever you can get out there, fresh local produce, go for
it. Excellent, as always, Dr. Greger. What else do we have for Dr. Greger, Kelly?
So, Doc, we're in the news a lot. And since you're an expert in this area and know a lot about diets, and we hear a lot about these new drugs that people are taking maybe off-label that they were originally prescribed for diabetes and other things. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, obesity so dramatically decreases one's lifespan, reducing life expectancy as much as 6 or 7 years, that like bariatric surgery, these drugs should be considered as the last resort for people unwilling or unable to treat the cause of their obesity. And the problem is people eat too much crap. So anything that gets people to eat less crap can be beneficial. But you don't need $1,000 drug to decrap your diet. And the drug mechanism, this GLP-1 agonist activity can be replicated by both consumption of thylakoids, which is basically dark green leafy vegetables, as well as high fiber foods like whole grains and legumes, which result in the production of postbiotics like butyrate that have this GLP-1 boosting effect. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of perverse that, Big food addicts people to junk food on purpose for profit. And then we fatten the coffers of big pharma to treat at high cost and with some risk an array of health problems that need never have occurred in the first place.
Right. Well, you mentioned this earlier. It's I think it's tough for people. Convenience stores are on every corner. That's there's not much produce in those places.
That's why they call it. Yeah,
absolutely. But I like what you said earlier that it's not all or nothing. When you're in the grocery store, take more time in the produce section, see what you like there, see if you can incorporate some of that stuff into your diet. Is that right?
I love it. Do it. Oh my God. It's like, Northern Hemisphere, it's going to be watermelon season. Come on. Do it.
Give me some of your favorite, what are your favorite stuff? You mentioned watermelons.
With seeds, eat the seeds, chew them up.
I'm eating the watermelon seeds.
You better be. I know where you live.
What benefit is that doing for me? Is that fiber?
What do you mean? There's all sorts of good stuff in the seeds. There's
actually
not much nutrition in the flesh itself. Although it actually does have citrulline, which is good. Improves, artery function. I found concentrate actually in 5 times more, I believe, in yellow than red watermelon if you can find it. But yeah, no. Oh my God, delicious.
Marshmallows and watermelon seeds.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what's up for dessert at the doc's house.
Oh, yeah. I do not, just to be clear, I'm not recommending anyone eat marshmallows. We'll
put that disclaimer in small font.
Right. Please. Right. I will not get my check from Big Marshmallow.
Big Marshmallow.
But
they're taking over.
Big Marshmallow. Dr. Greger, I'm out of questions, but you are as charming and as entertaining as ever.
Ah, that's sweet.
Yes.
Well, give my love to everybody.
We need you. Thank you so much. We need you out there telling us what we need to do to save our lives. How not to die.
That's what it's all about. And especially for people who are doing good things with your lives like you.
And when can we expect to see you on Netflix again? You got anything else in the works we can kind of announce here?
There's a How Not to Die documentary coming out.
Is that right? That's exciting.
Probably next year to coincide with the 10-year anniversary of How Not to Die. So yeah, that'll be exciting.
So Ryan Reynolds will play you?
Ha! Yeah, it's not a biopic. It's actually, a little bit. I don't know exactly how it'll come out, but we should see a first cut in August, actually.
Fantastic. Well, congrats. We will look forward to that. Dr. Greger, thanks so much for taking the time. We appreciate it, and you have nothing but good advice for all of us.
Yeah, thanks, Doc.
I'm happy to help anytime.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.